Huawei Mate X2 review. But before we start, please support us by pressing the like and subscribe buttons, so that we can continue to provide the latest information about gadgets and technology. Also turn on the bell button to get the latest updates. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you. Huawei is now officially on its third generation of foldable display phones with the Mate X2. We've seen major technological strides with these products since the original Mate X came out in 2019. The Mate X2, in particular, marks a whole new take on foldables for the Chinese giant, a move away from the outward folding design on the Mate X and Mate X's and onto an inward folding paradigm, much like what Samsung pioneered with its Fold line. Well, if the inward fold is the form factor consumers prefer, now that we've seen the industry settle on this common design, we'll also probably see the tech mature faster and become more affordable in the process. Unfortunately, the Mate X2 is not the foldable for the masses that many of us desire. Instead, it is still very much a halo device, meant to impress and showcase more than anything else. In fact, it might just be even more unattainable than its predecessors, seeing how it is currently only sold in China, with no official intention of expanding availability, and that the still ongoing US sanctions mean no Google Play services and severely handicapped chipset manufacturing capabilities. And this is all before we even start to consider the Mate X2's eye-watering price tag of around €2,300. We felt like these are important points to make before we start drooling over the Mate X2's exquisite hardware. The Mate X2 is an amazing device, and here's a quick recap of its main specs. Huawei Mate X2 specs at a glance. Body, 161.8 by 145.8 by 8. 2 mm, 295 grams, glass front, glass back, aluminum frame. Display, 8.00 inches foldable OLED, 90 Hz, 2200 by 2480px resolution, 10.15 to 9 aspect ratio, 413p, cover display, 6.45 inches, OLED, 90 Hz. 1160 by 2700 pixels, 456p. Chipset, Kirin 9000 5G, 5 nanometers, octa-core, 1x3. 13 GHz Cortex A77 and 3x2. 54 GHz Cortex A77 and 4x2.05 GHz Cortex A55, Mali G78 MP24. Memory, 256 GB 8 GB RAM, 512 GB 8 GB RAM, UFS 3.x, NM, nano memory, up to 256 GB, uses shared SIM slot. OS/software, Android 10, EMU 11, no Google Play services. Rear camera, wide, main, 50MP, f/1.9, 23mm, 1.28, 1.22 micrometers, omnidirectional PAF, laser AF, WA, telephoto, 12MP, f/2.4, 70mm, PAF, WA, 3x optical zoom, telephoto, 8MP, f/4.4, 240mm, PAF, WA, 10x optical zoom, ultra wide angle, 16MP, f/2.2, 17mm, AF. Front camera, 16MP, f/2.2, wide. Video capture, rear camera, 4K at 30/60 fps, 1080p at 30/60 fps, gyro ICE, front camera, 1080p at 30 fps. Battery, 4500 mAh, fast charging 55 watts, Huawei Supercharge. Miscellaneous, fingerprint reader, side-mounted, NFC, infrared port. As we already established, the phone we have for review today is a showcase device with limited availability and a ludicrous price tag. An extra word of warning, our device is also running a Chinese ROM. Of course, none of this is any reason not to explore its next-gen hardware, design and features. Unboxing. The Huawei Mate X2 ships in a pretty huge and rather fancy box. It is thick all around and has a soft touch finish. When opened, the magnetic flap at the top reveals the unfolded Mate X2 and its impressive, massive and uninterrupted internal display. All of the foldable display phones we have seen ship in an unfolded state, which justifies the bigger box size. Huawei did not skimp on the accessory package either. You get a case in the box, or more accurately a back cover for lack of a better term, complete with a fancy magnetic kickstand and a leather finish. While having any level of extra protection is better than nothing, We can't help but recall Samsung's official cases for the Fold line, which do include at least some sort of tiny bumper for the other half of the phone. Also, the official Mate X's case, for that matter. We kind of wish this was the case with the Mate X2 as well. The box also contains a pair of white, Type-C wired earbuds in the box. They have a microphone for calls, as well as the same inline control buttons. Beyond that, nothing too fancy. They sound decent, and the buds' apple-like shape generally provides a lot of comfort without forcing themselves on the ear canals. The charger bundled with the phone has a USB Type-A adapter is rated at 66 watts. It arrives with a special, heavy-duty 6A USB Type-A to Type-C cable. This is the same combo offered with the Mate 40 Pro and Mate 40 Pro Plus. Besides the fact that you need to hold onto a proprietary cable, there is also the limitation that this is not a PD-compatible charger. Instead, it mostly caters to Huawei's own supercharge protocol. It is rated for the following power output modes: 5 volts 2A, 10W, 9V 2A 18W, 10V 2.25A 22.5W, 10V 4A 40W, and 11V 6A max 66W, and only supports SCP and Quick Charge 2.0 as a fallback. Since neither 10 volts, nor 11 volts is within the standard PD spec, the charger can't be used for quick charging other devices. Looking back at our Mate X's review, we know for a fact that Huawei shipped that phone with a much more versatile 65 watts power delivery compatible and supercharged capable charger, alongside a standard 3.3A Type-C to Type-C cable. We see the new bundle as a downgrade for its lower versatility. It should be noted that the Mate X2 supports a maximum of 55 watts of charging, just like the Mate X and Mate X's, despite the higher rated charger. Design is unquestionably a cornerstone for a foldable display handset. Perhaps doubly so on the Mate X2, since it represents a major shift in Huawei's foldable design, moving away from the outside display concept and diving headfirst into the more traditional inside folding design. And what a majestic dive it is! Huawei managed to actually find a solution to the air gap issue, intrinsic to current flexible display tech. Until some major advancement in the field comes along, we are basically stuck with at least some minimum for a curvature radius. Hence, when you go down the straightforward route, like Samsung has been doing with devices like the Z Fold 2 and have two basically symmetrical parts, you inevitably end up with an air gap. Huawei's novel approach consists of a few bits. First off, the two halves of the Mate X2 are not symmetrical in any way. Well, that is to say in terms of depth. Their footprint is pretty identical, but vertically both are wedge-shaped. Like two slices of cheese, fitting one over the other. It is an ingenious, even if particular solution. Let's talk about the new hinge, which is a major part of the puzzle here. The Falcon Wing hinge
Thanks for watching.
has been replaced with a new
Drop a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like
the
this.
hinge's internals employ zirconium-based liquid metal. Huawei claims that the construction is now 2 times stronger than on the Mate X's. The hinge motion feels confident, with little flex.